Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is my video, Sunset on the Inlet. I've been painting sunsets for many years, and I just find them splendid and gorgeous in color. A recent trip down to the Delaware seashore sent me home with some really great photographs for reference, and I ordered some new paints in my attempt to capture the colors a little bit more genuinely. These paints are called the quinacridone family. Quinacridone. And I have always used magenta for many years now. But now I have some quin red, some quin violet, and some quin gold. And the colors are so intense that they allowed me to get closer to the real colors of the sunset that I was looking at. I also use a color on a regular basis called permanent rose, and when I mixed it with the quin gold, it made the most gorgeous color of salmon or peach. I hope you enjoy the video and give it a thumbs up. Now let's paint. I began the painting with a simple horizon line, and I marked out with my finger where I wanted to keep white. I painted around that white area and came right in. This is using the quin red and then some quin gold. I was concentrating the colors since I was working wet on wet, so they were nice and intense. After I put down the warm colors, I went back and added even more color. And then I moved to the cooler colors. One of the interesting things about this photograph that I took was that the top of the sky had a greenish cast to it. And combined with the red coloring in the lower part, it almost set up a complementary color scheme. This is how the quin violet looks. It combined very nicely with the quin red and the quin magenta. You could see that I'm going back and adding more and more glazes of the color even while it's still wet. My thought for the top of the painting was to come in with a greenish color. So I'm using Hooker's green, and I mixed it in with some yellow ochre and then some of the purple. And here it is dry. This is now another glaze of color to make the colors even more intense, because they were that intense in actual nature. And I'm continuing to use the same color group. There's a dark strip of land all along for the opposite shore of the inlet. And this is an inlet between a bay and the Atlantic Ocean. Directly under the sun, the land's color is actually bleached out by the sun, so it's not as dark, but the intense light of the setting sun makes it appear almost red. And so that's how I was painting it. And then there is a bank that's a little closer with some trees on it. For this dark color, I'm using a mixture of sepia, indigo, and purple. And they make a good dark color that's not just plain black. I'm working back into the sky, and I'm using a mixture of indigo and purple for the darker lines of the clouds. And something I'm trying very hard to avoid is bringing in too many different colors at this point so that the colors don't turn muddy but stay nice and fresh. Here's that little bit of yellow from the sun showing through the top clouds and making them appear green. Softening around the edges of the sun so it doesn't look like a hard white orb, but rather a soft one. And the next thing I'm going to do is skip down to the water. Looking at my photographic reference, I'm wetting down strips of water that go across. I'm also blotting down the middle and using some masking fluid to keep some clean whites. Now some yellow down the middle, and then the same colors that are up top, marking down where the path of the sunlight is reflecting on the water waves. And with water here, I'm working horizontally, always across. After I've got down the warm colors, again, I'm bringing in the cool colors. More cool colors, and where they mix with the yellows, they turn green. But I have the green established in the top sky, so it can look natural. I'm trying hard to keep some colors fresh so they don't all mix together and I can see some individual colors and not just a gray blur. And yet I need to get them dark enough. And working wet, as you know, it's hard to keep them nice and dark. So I'm going back and adding another layer of darks while it's still wet, using indigo and some hooker's green dark. And then you could start to see the water and the waves form, although they will need some more work still. I continue to work on the wet surface, coming in and making darker and darker streaks over and over again. I just darkened the far shore again. And I'm really trying to paint the water as I see it in the photograph. I'm softening the white lines that I left along the banks, which seem to help denote that there is a horizon there. And as you can see, it dries considerably lighter. I'm adding another reinforcing layer of color to the sun sky and softening around the sun some more with some water. I'm enhancing the shape of the sphere of the sun and then softening it a lot. My finger is holding my space for the light path on the water. And I'm coming in and making it darker along the edges of where the reflection is. And so as not to get carried away, that's why I put my finger there. There was a silhouette of a boat out in the water where some people were out fishing. So I'm adding that to the picture now. And right from the point of view where I was standing, rocks have been placed so that the shore will not erode as the water comes in and out. And it also happened to be a very convenient place to stand and fish. And many, many people love to fish right in this location. Unfortunately, the main thing that I've ever caught in that location is the bottom. But I've seen some beautiful flounder pulled out of there. There's some reeds coming up from through the rocks, and that's what I'm painting next. Where the sun is affecting the reeds, I'm making them a dark red. As they get lower toward the rocks, I'm making them darker and darker with my black mix. And I just used my pre-cut mat to assess how the whole thing will be coming together. And where it needed some other adjustments. Continuing to tweak the reeds. Last of all, I'm making the rocks darker all the way down. Should I extend to show more of the painting when I put a mat on it. And I sign it and it is done. I hope you enjoyed watching Sunset on the Inlet and that you'll give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe below and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. There's also some links below so that you could take a look at my art products page for purchase of my prints and other things. There is a link to my Facebook page about art, and there's a link to my blog about art and life. Another link shows you some of the products that I like to use when I'm painting, and your comments are always welcome. May I suggest that buying some fresh new paints is very motivating, because I sure enjoyed it for this particular painting. Yeah, I'll see you next video.